might want to know sales aren't up, they're down. Yes, sir.
Are sales up or are they down? I'm going to give you a presentation today on the past, present, and future of the aviation construction business. It's good to know the past so that we don't make the same mistakes. It's good to know where we are so that we know how to get to the future. Now, some of the past you have right here outside of this building. The Wright brothers' famous biplane is sitting out there. Pretty awesome, huh? Aviation was invented in the United States. So we have a glorious past. This thing right here, this map, let me back up for a second. Mr. Trump, whether you like him or not, stated or vowed to overhaul our airports and that infrastructure was obsolete. Was he right or was he wrong? Let's find out. The map that you see right there are the 15,000 airports in the United States. Crazy number, isn't it? Did you know that? But only 5,200 of them have a paved runway. You have one right here in your backyard. To put it in perspective, there's 44,000 malls in the U.S., but there's only 1,100 that are enclosed. So there's more airports than there are malls. Now, are they obsolete? There was not a single U.S. airport in the top 25 worldwide. Many of our airports are already 40 to 50 years old. Infrastructure spending has shrunk 50%, while demand keeps getting higher. And in Europe, they're outpacing us. They're spending twice as much. Their airports are phenomenal. I'm going to focus on the U.S. These are some of the airports in the U.S. There's 18 of them ranked there by J.D. Power and Associates. And right here in our backyard, we have Orlando International, rated one of the highest. There's several factors that go in there. It's an 800-point system, and Orlando ranked number 1. But of the 18 that are up there, 10 are average or below average. So was Mr. Trump right, or was he wrong? Airports needing the most infrastructure, according to the American Society of Civil Engineers. The first one on our list is LaGuardia, which Trump particularly lambasted along with Mike Pence. And now it's going to get worse because the Walsh Group joint ventured with Skanska to they entered a contract for a $3.6 billion renovation expansion. So while it's under construction, it's going to be worse. It's the proverbial changing the tile of the shower where the lady's still taking a shower in it. Because the airport has to keep running. Newark Liberty was rated the worst customer service. And particularly poor service is during the summer season. You have Chicago O'Hare International, a huge hub. They're going to go an amazing transformation, and it's needed. You also have John F. Kennedy in New York, JFK, and then the Philadelphia International, they just put out, actually Pittsburgh put out their design request for a $1 billion program. And it's just going to get worse with the other ones being under construction for the next 5 years or so. Now there's some pressures that are being put on airports, and some of them are from our regulators. You have the TSA, Transportation Safety Administration, they're the guys that are at the gates, right, checking you when you go through at the security screenings. You have the CBP, Customs and Border Protection, which are the people that check your passport and your luggage when you come in to the United States. And then you have the FAA, who's the big 800-pound gorilla that dictates what happens. But what's cool is they have funding available. I'll talk about that in a second. The other pressure is what's known as PDGs, or many names, but it's Program Design Guidelines, or Project Design Guidelines. These are changing all the time, especially in our environment of terrorism. More security. That's what's going to happen in the airports, a lot of security. There's inline baggage handling systems, and we put in these things called EDS machines, so explosion detection systems, to see if there's a bomb on the plane. That's a catastrophic event if there's a bomb. The other pressure, hey, Boeing, making big planes, wide-body jets. That's going to change the configuration at airports. The cargo system at Miami International is going to change simply because these planes require bigger turning radius. Then you got the A350, Airbus. They're making huge planes now, the 330, the 350, the 380. So change in fleet mix is pressuring airports to change. You also have way more demand. Now here's a crazy number. How many passengers worldwide do you think are going to travel in 2017? Any guesses? Anybody? Come on, play the game with me. There's no right or wrong. 10 billion?
Yeah.
Oh, you're close. It's actually 4 billion. It's an incredible number. They call it enplanements, and you can see what's going on there. Going up, right? More demand. You millennials, you love to travel. So do we baby boomers. We're retiring now. We love to travel. So the demand from the passenger traffic is coming. By 2035, there's going to be 7.4 billion passengers. Isn't that great news? That's as many people as there are on the planet. You also have from cargo, there's increased demand there. You guys heard about the bidding war going on with the $5 billion facility for Amazon? Jeff Bezos, our own little South Florida guy. So there's a huge demand in temperature-sensitive products. It could be pharmaceuticals, or it could be food or meat. That has to change. There's also an increase in what they call e-commerce. And of course, Amazon is driving that. You millennials love Amazon Prime, don't you? Press a button, get it the next day. Press a button, get the microwave, you get your food. So e-commerce is going to have a lot of pressure. And there's a growing demand for what they call APAC, which is Asia Pacific. That's a huge market. A lot of American airlines are partnering with APAC.
Yes.
And then cargo is a huge demand as well, with the projected 85 million tons of cargo. Miami is one of the number one because we got the Caribbean, Latin America, South America, and it's a short hop over to Europe. So that's pretty much all the market pressures and the past. We had a good, glorious past. Some of our airports are in need of infrastructure improvement. And I was part of the first, the largest, the most comprehensive, most expensive airport expansion and renovation project of its kind in its day. Miami International, $6.5 billion were spent there, all with municipal bonds. We built a brand new air traffic control tower. That's it right there. You also see the north runway. That alleviated a lot of the pressure on the landings and takeoffs because now you can separate cargo from passengers. We also built a brand new south terminal. See if I can get my pointer. So in the south terminal, you have this, what I call the flattened Coke can, where it's supposed to look like a wing. And there's like 19 gates there. At the end of it, there's 2 gates that were converted so they could receive the wide body. So you have Lufthansa now flying direct from Miami to Germany. You have a new taxiway tower. You have a cruise terminal buses. So if people get here, international, what do they want to do? Go to the cruise port right away. It's the #1 cruise port in the world, Miami. And then this is our chiller plant. That's where we produce all the cold water that makes air conditioning. And we touched on this thing because the tiles up here were falling off. And so we put new tile up there, but we rehabilitated the main chiller loop, which was in disrepair, and the whole building was in disrepair. And that was a $10 million project. And then you can see some of the parking garages that also needed some help. And then the north terminal used to be A, B, C, D. Now it's just D. It has 60 gates plus some commuter gates. That's some of the artwork that they installed there. It's a bunch of fish. I installed this hat truss there. Huge, super steel structure. We put it up in pieces. And there was an expansion that was about 2 miles long. We built a D extension there. The shell of that. It was a 30,000 cubic yard expansion. There's also a new automated people mover, and it has 4 stations. This is a new taxiway tower, and I don't have a picture of the stations, but there's 4 stations so that you don't have these long walks. When you got a concourse that's 2 miles long, you want to be able to go up, take the train, and get to customs, immigration, or just to get out of the airport. This thing here is what's known as the APN guideway. So that's a complete concrete structure, and then it has these, it doesn't have a rail on it. It has rubber tire trains. These were made by Mitsubishi. Then we also did what's known as ground transportation improvements. And we built what's known as the Central Collection Toll Plaza. The crazy thing that used to happen at MIA was that they had these arms where you drive up to it and a little ticket would come out and then you'd go pay somewhere. Well, the skycaps were grabbing those tickets, throwing them into a hat, and the later ticket was valuable. Right? If you had a ticket that said Monday and you came in Wednesday, you wanted the Tuesday ticket. And parking revenue is the #3 revenue at airports. Also, the Central Boulevard was redone. They had a mistake in design where the Central Boulevard was a grade road, and then Perimeter Road went over it. So now they switched that configuration. Perimeter is now a service road on grade, and then the Central Boulevard is elevated. There's a new bridge there. Then we were part of the North Terminal Development Project. It was $2.1 billion of the 6.5. And we created what's known as an FIS, the Federal Inspection Service is there. And this is 2 football fields long. There were 72 counters for the CBP folks to check your passport. They've now installed self-service devices so that you can come in, scan your passport, answer a few questions, get a little card, and you process faster. You're talking about processing at peak, maybe 10,000 passengers an hour. So this was necessary. The trouble there was that the funding wasn't there, so CBP didn't have enough people to man the stalls. But we had the stalls, they were ready, and they'll be used. We also did a project that I'm very proud of. It's called North Terminal Improvements, from the curbside to the ticket counters. So everything in between, from Concourse B to D, which is now all D. We did everything from where you saw where the cars drop people off, all the way to where people get their ticket. New floors, new ceilings, new mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, new acoustical ceilings, and a lot of systems that were installed there. $155 million project, no safety issues, no quality control issues, no claims, a happy owner. In fact, we got a gold award from the Construction Owners of America Association. This is to show you the work that I've been involved in, particularly. MIA is shaped like a horseshoe, so I call it the horseshoe. And in that horseshoe, we've improved it with all these projects. There's the North Terminal Improvements, which is the red. We worked all along this thing here. We went to the D extension, we built the shell there. We've been at the parking garages, we did the chiller plant, we've been at the hotel, we've been on the roof of the hotel. The pool was constructed incorrectly, and it rotted the structural steel. So we took out the pool and they lost the star because of the pool. And they had a running track, and they had a racquetball court up there, and they had a little sandwich shop. And that's all gone. We've been everywhere on that horseshoe. We've even been in Concourse J. We did the, what was it called? The club at Concourse J. About $500 million of the work. I was there for like 18 years. I love aviation projects. This is the only projects I'll work on. I built schools, I built a hospital, I built a jail, I did some Target stores, but this is my love right here. So you can see that there was some obsolescence. We were great. We had some obsolescence due to lack of funding, lack of investment in our infrastructure. Here comes the good news. These are all projects that are underway. New Orleans, almost $1 billion project. Plenty of opportunity there. Brand new terminal, Louis B. Armstrong Airport. You have Tampa right across I-4. They're going to about $1 billion program now. It's underway. This is one of my favorites, Orlando International. Right here you have what they call the intermodal transfer facility. That gets you across to what they call the APM, so they have their own automated people mover. This is going to be all part of the South Terminal Complex. It is now in operation. How many of you heard of Brightline? Anybody? The first privately owned railroad in the country. It's going to start in Miami, stops in Fort Lauderdale, stops in West Palm Beach, going to shoot right up to Orlando. So there'll be trains actually coming here to the intermodal terminal facility. It's going to put Orlando big time on the map. I'm very bullish on Orlando. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. This was $1.1 billion. And then more good news. These are projects underway as of 2017.
Thank you.
This was one of my particular favorites. So you see the intermodal that I showed you, actually it's here, right? And then over here is the brand new South Terminal. It's going to have 16 gates. Now some of those gates, you see a wide body jet there, are convertible so that you can park 2 planes there. So they're going to have a tower that can have 3 jet bridges, 3 different levels, so that you have 2 levels to get passengers on and off from the big jets, or when that jet is not there, 2 jets can go, and then you use 2 bridges to get those passengers on and off the airplane. It's a $1.3 billion program. So in airports, we divide into landside and airside. The landside project is by Turner Kiewit. Turner Kiewit. You may want to be writing this down in case you want to apply there. And then that's $700 million. So that's all the land side. That's the concourse, that's the parking, there's a cogen plant planned. And then the air side, we go air side and land side because once you make that crossover, that's a security checkpoint. And you need either a ticket to fly or you need a special badge to be on the air side. The air side is Hensel Phelps. They're going to do the new concourse, right, the new terminal rather, and all the airfield. So you're talking all the taxiways, all the apron. Apron is where airplanes park. That's usually about 14 to 16 inches of concrete. They're very heavy vehicles. Also the tugs that pull them in and out, those are heavy as well. So Hensel Phelps is doing that part of it. By 2035, Orlando International will have 120 gates. I'm very bullish on Orlando. Orlando, I feel, is going to be one of the leading cities of the 21st century. If you're looking for work, I would look for work there. You have Ultimate I-4. That thing is like a bomb fell on it. They're investing, I think, $400 million. You know, they have the new soccer stadium. They have the new basketball stadium. They have the new convention center. And they have so many attractions, right? You have Mickey at one of them. And then you have all the other theme parks. So it's the perfect executives conference center. Here I come to a conference. My wife and kids go to Disney or Animal Kingdom, and we hook up at night. Go to the Orlando Eye, go to Mango's. It's just a perfect place. I think it's a perfect storm for Orlando to be a leading city. Do you know what the leading city was in the 19th century? New York. In the 20th century, it was out west. Silicon Valley, the Hague District, San Francisco. Orlando's going to be that. I'm completely convinced of that. So I think there's a lot of opportunity in Orlando. Now, just to get your brain expanded on how crazy airports can get, everything's bigger in Dubai. They say everything's bigger in Texas. Everything is huge in Dubai. Look at this. 200 million passengers. Insane. 16 million tons of cargo. Remember, worldwide it was 85. Wow. This thing is an airport on steroids. Look at this. I wish I had a little better picture, but you can see all those airplanes there. Isn't that insane? And that is dwarfed by Beijing. Right now it's in a $13 billion expansion, but this thing will outpace Dubai one day. There's even a $15 billion program going on in Mexico City, combined with its Air Force. Sexy, huh? Now here's some headlines for you. This is the good news about the aviation construction industry. So the greatest investments will be in terminals. New, expanded, renovated, with the primary objective being capacity enhancement, right? I just said it earlier. Millennials love to travel, so do we baby boomers. There's increased demand for travel. The next headline is that Airfield Pavement projects, right? Airfields, landing strips are mainly pavement, not concrete, and they need to be redone. So while they're ubiquitous, they don't represent a huge investment category. They're mostly rehab in nature, but they are projects to be done at airports. They're not going to be any new runways. This thing is called NPIAS. It's the National Plan of Integrated Airport Systems. They've identified an investment of $32.5 billion. So this has to do with air traffic control. It has to do with security measures. And the feds get involved. The TSA actually gives this money. But what's going to happen is, in the next NPIAS report, there's going to be more demands on airport to be stricter with their safety. So this will increase costs at airport a little bit. The other one is that design, build, and construction manager at risk projects are models. They're gaining interest, especially by airport sponsors where they're available. Now PPPs, or P3s they call them, are also gaining prominence, but they're rare because capital is so expensive. Right now, with our interest rate being, what, 0%? You're thinking of raising it a quarter point, a half a point, 1 point, whatever it is, money is cheap. So especially municipal bonds, they could get a bond for 4.5, 5 points. But when you add the developer, they could get up to like 14 or 15%. So they not accepted too much. Now here's what's going on future. New project at MIA. They call it Terminal Optimization Program. And it's mainly, one of the projects is what they call hard stands or parking spaces. Come on in, guys. So this where you see gray, that's what they call aprons. So that's the 14-inch thick concrete. And then this is pavement. So the planes can come and park there and not be at a gate. One time I got a list of all the charges that the airport charges the airlines, and it was a thing this long. Everything the airport does for the airline, they charge them. So being parked at a gate is expensive. This is less expensive to park your aircraft here, and then you can take it to the ground service equipment facility and get repairs done on it, or just maintenance. You know that airplanes have parts, and those parts have to be checked every so many hours. Different parts have different hours, and they have to be reconstructed. New gaskets, new hydraulic fluids. So they have two phases, the central base and hard stand and apron. So central base is the thing that they call the central terminal. I call it el barrio. It's the ghetto. It just needs major rehab. It's 50, 60 years old. You have a brand new north terminal, you have a brand new south terminal, and then the barrio is just kind of in between. So it needs some major help. This next thing is pretty exciting. It's called CORE, Cargo Optimization, Revitalization, and Expansion. So it's basically this triangle here. Right, it's more like half of a trapezoid. So you have this Z runway, right? You got the north, you got the south, and you got the Z. These green areas are going to be cheated into so that the taxiway can be widened. This is an American Airlines facility, and with the bigger jets, they can't make this turn here to turn and unload the planes. They're going to have to remove some of the jet fuel farm. Some of the buildings up here are 50, 60 years old. They'll be demolished. So there's plenty of opportunity to redo, especially this area here, put a new building. This is actually American Airlines here, and they put a lot of their cargo into the body of the plane. They don't use just strictly cargo planes. They use passenger planes. That's an $800 million program. This is part of it here. They're going to maximize the existing cargo facilities. They're going to redevelop. And it's a pretty long-term plan. I would say it's 5 to 6 years. So plenty of opportunity there as well. I'll open it up to questions, and then I have another little piece I want to do. So feel free. Anything you want to ask me about? Aviation construction? Yes, ma'am. Stand up, say your name. Ask your question.
My name is Marzanne Balata, and so my question is I know that there's a lot of demand in the United States for infrastructure, whether it's highways or train systems, and also now I'm very aware of the infrastructure needs that we have in aviation. Are you optimistic about not just the government, but the United States prioritizing aviation as much as they will the highway system and other infrastructure?
Absolutely, yes. I'm very bullish on airports. Trump announced a $1.4 trillion program. They've committed $200 billion from the federal government. The other 1.2 will come from the states.